Do you truly believe your life is in your own hands? Let me show you why that's a lie. For years, you've been led to believe you need more luck, more opportunities, more money, more education. But here's the truth. None of that matters without one single habit. And that's precisely what the powerful don't want you to discover. Because if you learn it, no one will be able to stop you. Do you think you really make decisions? Most people believe they do, but that's a dangerous illusion. They make small, superficial choices, like deciding what to eat for lunch or which show to watch at night. But when it comes to life-altering decisions, the ones that shape destinies, the truth is that almost nobody makes them. And I know this because I lived like that for years. I told myself, I'll do this when I have more money, when I have more time, when things are better. But do you know what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, because the perfect moment never arrives. It never will. Want a brutal example of how one decision changes everything? Let's go back in time, September of 1962. John F. Kennedy, President of the United States, stepped onto the stage and declared to the entire world, "We choose to go to the moon." He didn't have a rocket, he didn't have the technology, he didn't have a manual, nothing. But he decided. And that seemingly impossible decision put a man on the moon. Now I ask you, how many things have you postponed because you wanted to know how before deciding? How many dreams have you put off because you were waiting for everything to be perfect? If you're waiting for perfect conditions, I'm sorry to tell you, you'll be waiting your whole life. I'll tell you something that changed everything for me. I worked as a firefighter in Toronto, earning a meager wage with no prospects, no degree, nothing. My life was a constant cycle of overdue bills and excuses, until one day someone introduced me to a book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read those pages and felt like he was speaking directly to me. There I understood that my problem wasn't a lack of money, but a lack of decision. So I did something that seemed crazy. I decided to be rich. I didn't know how. I had no idea of the path. But I decided. And when you truly decide, something shifts within you. The world around you starts to change as well. From that moment on, doors began to open. Opportunities arose that I would never have seen before. I quit the fire department, started a cleaning business with absolutely no experience, and in the first year, I earned more than $100,000. That was a fortune back then, but none of that would have happened if I hadn't made a clear, definitive, and non-negotiable decision. Now think about your life. How many times have you said, I'll start when I have money, I'll open my business when the economy improves, I'll take that trip when I have some free time? And I ask you, did you have that free time? Did the money come before the decision? No, it didn't. And it won't, because money never appears first. It comes after you decide. That's how it works. It always has been. Let me tell you something powerful. What you lack is not resources, it's commitment. When you decide, ideas start to appear, the right people cross your path, opportunities arise. It's as if the universe conspires in your favor, but that only happens when you send it a clear message. I want this. And I'm not backing down. I want you to feel this now. Choose one thing you truly desire, the thing that makes your heart race, that scares you just to think about. Now decide that it will be yours. Not tomorrow, not when everything is right. Now. No plan, no excuses. Just decide. Because I'll tell you a truth that might bother you. If you don't decide, someone else will decide for you. And when that happens, you live the life others chose for you, not the life you deserve. So I ask you, are you willing to assume that power? Or will you continue waiting for the right moment until you realize that life has passed you by? Think carefully, because this choice will determine whether you remain trapped in what you know or begin to live what you've always dreamed of. Now I want to challenge you. It's not optional. It's for those who truly want to change their lives. Today, choose a single thing you desire and write in large letters, I decided. And from that moment on, act as if there were no other path. Because when you turn a decision into something irrevocable, everything changes, and it changes fast. Have you ever stopped to think about what's really happening when everything in your life seems to go wrong at once? Or when everything seems to go right, almost magically? It's not chance, it's not luck, it's frequency, it's vibration, it's science. Everything in the universe vibrates. Nothing remains still. People believe they live in a static world, but that's not so. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel, is emitting a frequency, and that frequency is creating the results you experience. It's not cheap mysticism, it's pure physics. Everything is energy in motion. Want simple proof? Remember that day you woke up grumpy, impatient, and it seemed like the whole universe conspired against you. The traffic was worse. People seemed more irritating. Nothing went right. Now remember the day you were happy, full of energy. People smiled at you. Opportunities arose. That wasn't coincidence. That was you emitting a different frequency. And here's what nobody tells you. Your entire life today is a result of the frequency you've been maintaining. It's not the government, it's not the economy, it's not the lack of opportunities, it's you. And that's powerful because it means you can change everything by changing the frequency of your thoughts. But here's the problem. Most people can't change because they don't understand how it works. They look at their current results and keep thinking about them. If they're full of debt, they spend the day thinking about debt. If they're stuck in a bad job, they spend the day complaining about the job. Do you know what the problem is? They're vibrating at the exact frequency that keeps those problems alive. And then they ask, why doesn't my life change? Now pay attention because this is important. Frequency is not something physical, it's a mental state. It's consciousness. And when you think, you're not just imagining things, you're tuning into a station, like a radio. Every thought is an antenna emitting signals. And the universe returns exactly the same signal. That's why when you focus on what you want, instead of what you fear, life begins to change. And I know you must be thinking now, but how am I going to believe in something I don't yet have? How am I going to feel abundance if my account is empty? That's the biggest trap. That's exactly what keeps you trapped. Because when you expect to feel good only after things change, you remain stuck on the same frequency. The secret is to reverse it. Feel now what you want to attract. Want to see how real this is? Steve Jobs said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that they will connect in the future." He understood this. He believed before he saw. He vibrated at that frequency before having any guarantee. And look where he got. Now I want you to do something with me. Close your eyes for a second and imagine the life you want. Detail by detail, the house, the car, the trip, the bank balance. Feel it as if it were real now. Listen, if you do this every day, you'll start to act differently. You'll start making different decisions. Because when you change the frequency, everything changes with you. Don't believe it? I'll tell you a personal story. When I was broke, I couldn't imagine wealth. I saw bills, debts, failure. Until one day, I stopped and said, what if I pretended I'm already rich? I started walking with my head held high, thinking like a rich person would think, even without a cent in my pocket. At first, it seemed crazy, but soon ideas started to appear. People started to emerge, and opportunities that had never appeared before started to come to me. Not because the world changed, but because I changed the frequency of my mind. So I ask you, what frequency are you on now? The frequency of scarcity or the frequency of abundance? Because that answer will determine what comes into your life in the next few months. Now I want to give you a practical challenge. Tonight, before you go to sleep, close your eyes and dedicate 5 minutes to visualizing your ideal life in all its details. Feel yourself there. Then tomorrow, when you wake up, act as if you were already that person. Walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Because, listen closely, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And when you change who you are internally, everything around you reorganizes itself to match that. And here's something nobody will tell you. This is not optional. Either you take control of your frequency, or it will be controlled by circumstances, by the news, by crises, by problems. The choice is yours. And the choice is now. There is something far more dangerous than a lack of money, more destructive than a lack of opportunities, more paralyzing than any economic crisis. This something is invisible. It is there now, inside your mind, controlling everything you do and especially everything you don't do. This enemy is called indecision. Nobody talks about it, but I will talk about it now because that's what keeps millions of people trapped in a mediocre life, full of frustrations. The biggest problem people have is not a lack of resources, it's a lack of decision. Napoleon Hill, in the book Think and Grow Rich, wrote something that marked me forever. The greatest weakness of education is not teaching how to make decisions. And he was right. Think about it. We spend years in school learning formulas, memorizing dates, solving problems we'll never use in real life. But did anyone teach you how to decide? Did anyone teach you to say, I'm going to do this, and actually do it without looking back? No. That's why most people wait for something to happen before they begin. How many times have you said, I'll do this when I have money. I'll start when things get better. I'll open my business when the economy is good. I ask you, when did that happen? Never. Because that right moment you're waiting for doesn't exist. It's an illusion. And while you wait, life goes by. I know this because I lived it firsthand. After I left school, I was completely lost. I did hard labor, changed tires, washed cars, anything to pay the bills. I woke up every day with the feeling that my life was never going to change. And you know what I did? I waited. I waited for something to fall from the sky, for someone to give me an opportunity, for a solution to appear, but it didn't. Until one day, I was tired. I decided. And that's when everything started to change. Do you know what my decision was? I decided I was going to change my life, no matter what. I had no money, no degree, no experience, but I had one thing, a clear and definitive decision. And when you truly decide, irrevocably, something inside you changes. And you know what's even more incredible? The world starts to change along with you. When you don't decide, you lose far more than you imagine. Because not deciding is also a decision. The decision to stay where you are. And that's cruel, because every day that passes, you become more accustomed to this mediocre life, and it slowly kills your dreams. And here's a pattern breaker. Stop now, take a deep breath, and answer yourself. What have you been putting off for years? What's that one thing you know would change your life, but you always put off until later? Be honest. Because that's where most people give up. They want something, but they don't have the courage to decide. I'll give you a brutal example. How many people do you know who say, one day I'm going to travel, one day I'm going to open my business, one day I'm going to quit this job, and 10 years later, they're still in the same place? Maybe you know someone like that. Maybe that someone is you. Now listen to this. Indecision is like a virus that paralyzes your mind. The more you feed it, the stronger it gets. Until you wake up and realize you've wasted years of your life waiting for the right moment. And you know what the worst part is? It never comes. Never. So I'm going to give you some advice that could save your life. Make a decision now. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need all the answers. I didn't. When I decided to change my life, I didn't know how. But do you know what happened? Each step showed me the next. And that's what will happen to you. If you don't decide, nothing changes. Absolutely nothing. But when you decide, the game begins. And there's nothing more powerful than a firm decision. Now, I want you to do something for yourself. Today, write down on a piece of paper the decision you've been putting off for years. Just one. Then, put that paper somewhere you'll see it every day and promise yourself you won't go back on it. This is the first step to overcoming paralysis and starting to live the life you deserve. And listen closely. It's not fear that prevents you from deciding, it's the lack of faith in what you can become. And that faith only comes after the decision, never before. Do you want to know the real difference between those who build empires and those who spend their whole lives chasing bills? It's not intelligence, it's not a degree, it's not luck. It's the speed at which these people make decisions and the firmness with which they maintain those decisions. Billionaires don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't stand still planning every detail before acting. They decide quickly and take the risk. Meanwhile, most people are stuck in, when it happens, one day I'll do it. Let me think about it some more. And I'm going to give you some harsh news. While you're thinking, someone else decides and takes what could have been yours. Want an example? Elon Musk. Do you think he knew how he was going to get a rocket into space when he decided to create SpaceX? He didn't. Nobody did. The greatest experts said it was impossible, that he was going to go bankrupt. And do you know what happened? He made the decision and stuck with it. Even when everything was going wrong, he kept the decision. And today, guess who's sending rockets into space? Now I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you had an incredible idea and put it off until later? How many opportunities have passed because you were waiting to have more money, more experience, more security? And how did you feel when you saw someone do exactly what you thought of, but you didn't have the courage to decide? Does it hurt? You know why this happens? Because you're playing the game of the masses. The masses wait. The masses overthink. The masses need the approval of others. And you know what the game of the greats is? Decision. Fast. Firm. Without looking back. And here's a pattern breaker for you to reflect on. Your life today is a reflection of the decisions you've made, or the ones you haven't made. Think about it. Everything you have now is the result of past decisions. So if you don't like your current life, do you know what needs to change? The way you decide. Want to hear something shocking? A study by Columbia University showed that people make on average 70 decisions a day, but only 1% of those decisions are truly significant. In other words, we spend all day choosing irrelevant things, what to eat, what to wear, and postpone the big choices that really change our lives, and then we complain that nothing happens. I'll tell you something personal. When I decided to change my life, I had no guarantees, no perfect plan. But I knew one thing. If I didn't decide at that moment, I would stay in the same place forever, and I didn't want that. So I closed my eyes and said, it's over. From today, I'm changing. And I changed. Not because the conditions got better, but because I changed before the conditions changed. Now I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. How long are you going to wait? Until you have more money? Until you feel more prepared? Until the economy improves? Do you know what I learned? Those excuses never end. They just change names. And if you keep waiting, in 5 years you'll be exactly where you are now, only more frustrated because time has passed. So I'm going to challenge you right here and now. Choose something you know you need to decide and make the decision today. Not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect. Today. Because if you don't do it, someone else will do it in your place. And you'll watch from afar the life that could have been yours. And I'll repeat something that can change everything for you. The most successful people in the world are not the most intelligent. They are the most decisive. Do they make mistakes? Yes. But each mistake brings them closer to success. Meanwhile, those who wait too long never make mistakes, but they never win either. So think with me. Do you want to be the one who watches or the one who makes things happen? Because the decision is yours. And it needs to be now. It's time for me to tell you what the elite doesn't want you to discover. It's not a complicated secret. It's not a $1 million trick hidden in vaults. It's something so simple that most people disregard, and precisely because of that, almost nobody does it. Want to know what it is? Turning decision into a habit. I know it seems too simple to change your life, but listen, it's precisely the simple things that work, because it's what you can apply now. What separates people who achieve from those who only dream is not talent, not luck, not intelligence. It's the ability to decide quickly and maintain that decision every day. Think with me. You've made decisions before, right? And you've probably made decisions that have changed your life for the better. But then comes the question, why didn't you do that again? Because you didn't turn it into a habit. You did it once, maybe twice, but then you went back to your comfort zone. What I'm going to teach you now is what changed my story. When I was lost, without money, without education, without a future, I understood one thing. If I wanted to change my life, I needed to make courageous decisions every day. Not once, but until it became automatic. So I started. Small, but I started. I remember the day I decided to open my cleaning company. I had no experience, no plan, no resources. All I had was an unnegotiable decision. I'm going to make this work. And I did. In less than a year, I was making more than $100,000. At that time, that was a fortune. But none of that would have happened if I had waited for courage to appear, if I had waited to have all the answers. I didn't. I only had one thing, a repeated decision day after day until it became part of who I am. Now I want you to understand something powerful. When you turn decision into a habit, you take control of your life. Because you stop waiting for perfect conditions, stop waiting for approval, stop waiting for motivation, and you start acting. And action is what moves everything. I'll give you a practical example for you to apply now. Every day, as soon as you wake up, write down a decision that will bring you closer to what you want. It doesn't have to be something gigantic. It could be, today I'm going to call that client. Today I'm going to sign up for that course. Today I'm going to start my channel. The important thing is to decide and act on the same day. If you do this for 30 days, I guarantee you will look back and barely recognize your life. And do you know why the elite doesn't want you to discover this? Because it's too simple. Because if you learn this, nobody will be able to control you. You're done asking for permission. You're done living in a world of excuses. You're about to become a dangerous person to the system because decisive people are the ones who change the world. Now, listen closely. I'm not saying it'll be easy. There will be days you're scared, days it feels impossible, and those are precisely the days you need to decide again and again until it becomes part of your DNA. Here's a quick test. What's the most important decision you're avoiding right now? The one that would change everything, but you're putting off because you're afraid. Take that decision and make it a habit today. Because if you don't do it now, a year from now you'll be in the same place, making the same excuses. Remember, there's no freedom without decision, and there's no true decision without action. So don't wait. Start now. Now that you understand all this, I'm going to ask you a direct question. Are you ready to prove to yourself that you're capable? Because watching this video, nodding your head, and then going back to the same life, that changes nothing. What changes is action, and action starts with a challenge. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 7 days, without missing a single day, the moment you wake up, write down the most important decision you need to make that day. Just one. And then act on it. It doesn't matter if it seems small. It doesn't matter if you're afraid. Act on it that same day. 7 days. That's it. For 1 week, you'll train your mind to do something most people lack the courage to do. Decide and act. Without excuses. Without waiting for the perfect moment. And I guarantee you, if you do this, You'll feel a strength inside you that you might not even know you had. I know you might be thinking, what if I fail? Let me tell you something, you won't fail if you don't give up. Failure isn't falling, it's stopping trying. So even if today you can only take one small step, take that step. Because small steps repeated consistently create gigantic changes. Now imagine with me, what would your life be like 7 days from now if you started today? Better yet, what would it be like 7 months from now, or 7 years from now? It all starts with these next 7 days. This is the difference between remaining stuck and starting to create the life you've always dreamed of. And listen to this. No one will decide for you. No one will live your life for you. Either you take control now, or you'll continue being controlled by fear, circumstances, and excuses. So here's my challenge to you. Grab a piece of paper right now. Write this sentence. I decide. Underneath, write what decision you're going to make today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. And then come to the comments and tell me what your decision was, because I want to see who's truly going to be part of this group of people who decide. Remember, life doesn't change for those who wait. Life changes for those who decide. And the question is, will you decide now? Remember, the simplest habit, the one the elite doesn't want you to discover, is the one that will transform your life from the inside out. It lies in the consistency of your daily thoughts, emotions, and actions. Every small decision you make today is a step that shapes your future. And if you think that's powerful, wait until the next video that's popping up on your screen right now. In it, we'll climb another step in your wisdom evolution, bringing insights that will make you 1% better than you are now. And that, believe me, changes everything over time. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'll see you in the next video to continue this journey of transformation and growth.